Hey, my name's Obadiah. I'm the creative director here at Impact City, which is another way of saying that you got the B team today. So the relief pitcher is here, and the only thing I can say is that if you're visiting, next week it gets better. So, I'm setting a low bar for our pastors to come back and really knock it out of the park next week, right? So first off, I ran sound and played music during VBS, and one of the songs, I know all the songs. I sing the songs in my sleep. I roll over at night singing them. I wake up singing them. Anytime my brain goes to neutral, I get a chance to sing the songs. There's nothing wrong with the Christmas song, and Summer was one of those songs that I sang a lot, and actually today is Christmas in July. It's July 25th. So I used it as an excuse to bust out my Baby Yoda shirt, because you really only get it twice a year, so I figured whatever, right? And for you purists that are like, but it's Grogu, all right, fine. So my sense of humor is not, it's not like everybody else's. Sarcasm is kind of my love language. It's what I really respond to and appreciate. And as a result, that kind of permeates all the different ways that I think and talk and act. And for example, like if you would come up and encourage me and just be like, Obadiah, you're doing a great job, I can dig it, okay? I can take that, right? But if you were to hang something on the wall that said, like, we can do it, I would be like, no, we can't. That poster's stupid. Like, why do we have to hang a poster on the wall? If we could do it, we wouldn't need a poster to remind us, okay? Which is why I connect with a little something called demotivators. And since we're going to be talking about the workplace, I thought I would show you a few of my favorites. For example, mistakes. It could be that the purpose of your life is to only serve as a warning to others. I love it. Okay, next. This is not an official one, but I love Star Trek, so Captain Kirk. Failure, while there's no I in team, there's a U in failure. Next. Knowledge. I believe that children are our future, and that terrifies me. Probably not the best one for a VBS Sunday, right? Right? And this is my last one. This is my absolute favorite. Meetings. None of us is as dumb as all of us. And if you have ever worked a job that involves a lot of meetings, I would love to blow that up and put it on a wall somewhere, just as a reminder of, like, when we enter this room, what we come up with is going to be worse than anything we could have come up with on our own. So, I'm in kind of a weird place in my life right now. If you don't know me, I just quit my job. Yeah. Oh, wow. I know, right? I just quit my job. I worked at Radio U for 24 years. And in the immortal words of Johnny Paycheck,
take this job and shove it. I ain't working.
I fulfilled everyone's dream. I went in, I love Radio U, and I love the people there, but I definitely did quit my job after a really long time. I was a sophomore in college when I went there. If you're wondering why Radio U is a Christian radio station and the pension that I'm getting was so huge, I was like, why even go to work anymore? Sarcasm. Okay, so I'm in kind of a weird place. Some people might think I'm having a midlife crisis. Are you having a midlife crisis, Obadiah? Well, if I am, I do not have a cool enough car to currently be going through a midlife crisis. I've got a CRV. Maybe that's causing a midlife crisis. Would I like it? I don't know. So right now, there's a little something going on in our culture. Have you heard of the term yet, the Great Resignation? Has anybody heard it? They're writing articles about it and using this phrase. And the idea is that because of COVID, a lot of us have worked at home. A lot of us have changed our schedules. And as a result, we're going back to work and going, take this job and shove it. And so a lot of people are resigning. I don't consider myself to be one of those people. I felt like God was in it. I felt like he was telling me to leave. I feel like some people probably think I'm just a statistic, which is fine. And in fact, here's an article in Forbes telling you what a huge mistake I made. Don't quit your job because everyone else is following the great resignation trend. So if you walk out of here this morning, you're like, oh, I should quit my job. That's not on me. I didn't say that, okay? But I'm in a weird place. I'm not 18. I'm not 80, all right? And the line that keeps coming to me is a line from Les Mis, where, anybody Les Mis musical fans? I am. I love musicals, okay? I know it's kind of weird, but whatever. But when Javert catches Valjean, little less than halfway through, he's getting ready to go rescue this little girl. He's going to dedicate his life to raising this girl. And Javert's like, no, you're going back to prison. And Valjean says, there is power in me yet. My race is not yet run. He sings it. But that's where I kind of find myself. I'm at this weird, maybe halfway point. If I make it to 80, kind of hoping, pulling for it, you know. But if I do, I probably am at like a halfway point. And I don't have the wisdom of 80 or the strength of 18, but there's still some power in me. I am still running my race, so it's not over. Now, I told you a couple weeks ago, if you were here, I was a philosophy student, which, you know, do you want fries with that kind of stuff? But I find myself asking some questions right now, all right? Maybe some of you have asked similar questions. What is life? What is good to do with life? What do I even know how to do? Do you know I spent 24 years in radio? I don't have a single marketable skill. Like, I have sat in a chair and talked for hours. Woo, good one. Should I go off and try to make a bunch of money? Sounds good. I mean, if I do, what am I going to do with that money? Or should I trade off money for time? You know, that idea is like, I'm going to make less, but I'm going to have all this time to play video games, travel, but I need money to travel. I don't know how that works. Watch movies. Go fishing. I don't know. What do people do with their spare time? I never know what to do with my spare time. So I've been spending this time thinking about how do we live our lives? And I've been looking around at other people to see how they live their lives, and I've come up with what I'm calling Obadiah's life equation. If blank, I would be able to blank and find blank. What the blank? Right? So here's what I think. Most of us are in search of something. Peace, fun, happiness, something. But we think there's just this thing that stands between us and that thing. And there's my equation. So let me fill in a couple of blanks for you. If I had money, I would be able to buy that car and find happiness. Okay, now that registers a little bit. How about this one? If I was in shape, I would be able to get those Instagram followers and find sponsorships. That's ridiculous. No. I promise you it's not. So here's what I want to do. I want us to take 30 seconds, and I want you to think about what is your big if. If blank, then blank, then blank. What is the thing that you feel like is standing between you and that thing? Just take a minute. Oh, and be honest with yourself. Exercises like this don't do any good when we try to fill in the blanks with what we think belongs in the blanks. We should really take a look at life and like put in the blanks what you're actually doing. Preach. Okay. So let's talk about, you've got your big if. You don't have to share it. You can just tuck it on the inside. But I want to talk about somebody who had no big ifs. Okay? This guy that I'm talking about was Solomon. He was a king. Oh, and not just a king. It's hard for me to explain to you exactly who Solomon is or what he was in his culture at the time, because we just don't have anybody like this anymore. His name that was given to him by God was Jedediah. Jedediah? This guy's amazing, right? We all know him as Solomon, and I will tell you who I have selected to be my Solomon representative today. The Beebs. Now, you might be thinking, that's stupid, but again, here's what you have to understand. That Solomon as king was not just some old dude in a chair that barked out orders. He was wildly popular with the ladies. He was a pop star of his time, but at the same time, he was like more than president. So if you could have like president pop star, but could also make you do anything they say, we don't really have somebody like that, but we got to get it out of our heads that it was just some crunchy old dude. Solomon was loved by so many people. They followed him. They thought he was the man. So he gets to a point in his life, his dad David has died. He's the king, and he starts asking the same questions we're asking in the Great Resignation. What's life? What's this? What's that? But he has no if. He has no limits at all. He literally wants to know the meaning of life, and he can go about searching for it. And so he says, I sat down with wisdom as my guide, and then I blank. Look at this in Ecclesiastes 2:10. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Finally, something in the Bible I understand. That's the life I want to live. Good night, everybody. Get out there. Do what you want. It's biblical. I can do whatever I want. And then you just quote Ecclesiastes 2:10 at him, right? So he goes on in Ecclesiastes 2, Solomon, and he starts listing off some of the things that he does in order to find happiness, find meaning, find something. You know where he starts? Home improvement. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. Also Ecclesiastes 2:10. Come on. How many people have Discovery Plus? Don't look there like you don't know what Solomon's talking about. I don't get it. Oh, you get it. All right. In fact, I created an if statement for you. And that is, if I had a new kitchen, I would be able to impress my friends and throw huge parties and find happiness. In fact, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to knock this wall out so the kitchen and the dining room are together. And so it's this whole space. That's every home improvement show. They take out one wall, and then they make them come in and go, wow. And then if the cameras weren't rolling, they make them come in and go, wow, again. So, oh, you know what? I've gotten lost in my notes here. He tries home improvement. He also tries gardening. I've got a neighbor that he practically has a little farm. It's awesome, right? I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. He tries being the boss. Now, this one's a little sketchy here. Ecclesiastes 2:7, I bought male and female slaves, had other slaves who were born in my house. So, depending on your translation, some people will say, these are servants, it's not slavery like we think of it. Well, whatever it is, this guy had a ton of people that he could boss around at any given moment. He could just be like, you, this, and they had to go do it, okay? He also tries stuff. So in his stuff, he says, I owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me, which doesn't sound that impressive to us. But to him, that was a real mark of something amazing. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. Wow. He's got all the stuff. Then he tries music. This one I think is really, really interesting. In Ecclesiastes 2:8, he says, I acquired male and female singers. Now, again, to the modern mind, who cares? I got 1 million songs right here, okay? And I can download more. I got Spotify and YouTube Music, so whatever. Well, here's the thing. If you wind back the clock even 100 years, you and I, the normies, we would get to hear music every once in a while. we would go to somebody's house. It's why, if you watch an old movie, they gather around the piano and they're excited because somebody knows how to play. Now we're like, everybody's got a piano, who cares, whatever. Listen to this. But back in the day, music was not easy to come by. So he essentially does something that nobody else does. He's got music on demand. You, go tell him to sing my song, the other song. Okay? Again, we take that for granted, but back then, here's the other one. This one I think is it feels a little shady. I'll say it in a hushed term. He also talks about sex. Most exquisite of all pleasures, voluptuous maidens for my bed. What? I would never be interested in that. So, it's weird that he even brought it up. I don't understand. What's that about? Are you kidding me? Turn on TV. Our culture is desperately hunting for this one, right? So, after he's done all of this, by most people's standards, Solomon is living the good life, right? I mean, he's got it all. But let's look at what Solomon says when it's time for him to conclude how he feels about all these things he's tried. Ecclesiastes 2:11. Then I took a good look at everything I'd done. I looked at all the sweat and hard work, but when I looked, I saw nothing but smoke and spitting into the wind. There was nothing to any of it, nothing. But what about the sex in the new kitchen? What about those? That sounds pretty good, right? Man, if you look into other translations, he says vanity, all is vanity. Another translation says worthless. It's all worthless. Now, up until this point, he's really just been kind of having fun, right? He's been doing the fun stuff. And so he decides okay, you know what, forget it. Enough fun. It's time for us to get down to learning and being smart and all that stuff. Well, look what he says about that in Ecclesiastes 2:12-14. He says, I took a hard look at what's smart and what's stupid. I love that. This is from the Message. What's left to do after you've been king? That's a hard act to follow. Oh, I know, right? It's just, you just do what you can and that's it. But I did see that it's better to be smart than stupid, just as light is better than darkness. Even so, the smart ones see where they're going and stupid ones grope in the dark. They're all the same in the end. One fate for all, and that's it. Oh. You mean happiness? What does he say in 2:16? He says, yes, both the smart and the stupid die, and that's it. I'm not the only one that likes a good demotivator, guys. Smart or stupid, you're all dead in the end, so who cares? Thank you, Solomon. So, Solomon, well, you know what, actually, was it Solomon or was it Tara Barra on TikTok? She said, I hate life. Was that? Oh, no, it wasn't just her. It was also Solomon in Ecclesiastes 2:17. He says, I hate life. Dude, teenage angst is not just for teenagers. And I'll tell you, I've sat in my room and said I hate my life myself. Now, many of you may now be thinking, Obadiah, this is not encouraging. I like to come to church. It's a little motivational snack before the week. Like it to carry me through. I like to get my spirits up because I know on Monday people will actively be trying to take them down. So you've started my week by trouncing on all my hopes and dreams. What do we do now? Look, I know, I get it. I really do. But I think this is something that's kind of important for us to look at. And the reason I think that is that, well, let me just say this. Solomon, unlike any of us, there were no no's for him, right? Most of us are going to spend, we've got this idea, if I have blank, then I'm going to have blank. And we're going to spend 50 years trying to get the carrot. You guys have seen the whole carrot and the stick thing? You and I are going to spend 50, 60 years, however long, in our pursuit of this thing. The amazing thing about the book of Ecclesiastes is Solomon already got the carrot. He's had all the carrots, right? And unlike you and I, who might be able to get our hands on one carrot after an enormous amount of pursuit, we're going to get that carrot and go, I don't know, it's not that great. We can actually learn from Solomon, who got all the carrots before we did, and we can see how he felt about it. Many of us probably have come to a conclusion when it comes to life. It's something that I've heard. I may have even said it. And this is what Solomon says in Ecclesiastes 2:24. He says, the best you can do with your life is have a good time and get by the best you can. I hate this. I hate it. And you're like, Obadiah, listen, I just want you guys to know this sermon's not for you, it's for me, okay? I want more out of life than that. Well, the best you can do is just enjoy it, I guess. Whatever. Like, geez, Obadiah, what? Here's the thing. Ecclesiastes is Solomon at his, in many ways, his wisest. He's tried everything. These are the conclusions that he's come to. But Solomon and Ecclesiastes are not the last book in the Bible, okay? This is a story that continues. Solomon didn't know Jesus, okay? He didn't. And so let's take a look at something that Jesus says that Solomon would not have heard. In John 10:10, he says, the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. I've come that they may have life and have it to the full. Oh, I like that. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, to be clear, this right here is probably the best place that I could wrap up. Because the best thing I could do is just be like, Solomon was so stupid. You guys have got Jesus. Woo! Have a great week, guys. This would be a good place to stop. But I kind of don't think it is. Because I think we have to keep going. I think we have to keep asking some questions here. When I say life and life to the full, what do you think of? Take a minute. What do you think of? Do you think of your own jet? Sounds pretty good. What about an in-ground pool? Man, public pools, you know what happens in there. I'd just like to have a pool where the only thing I got to worry about is me and mine, you know? Or what about, there for a while I've really gotten this idea in my head that I want a Polaris ATV. Have you guys seen those? I rented one. Look how dumb and happy this guy is. That was not me smiling for the camera. That was me smiling and the camera caught it. I rented this thing on the Oregon dunes, and they were like, well, stay on the dunes. And I was like, well, what happens if I don't? And so I took it out to the beach. And I drove up and down the Oregon coast in this ATV, and I'm just like, wah! And I'm not even kidding. I was screaming and laughing and having the most unbelievable time on this thing. But here, I feel like, is where there's another potential problem when we see how much fun I'm having on Instagram, okay? Is that we could take Obadiah's philosophy of life statement and turn it into this. If I have Jesus, I'll be able to buy the ATV I wanted and find happiness, fun, etc. So essentially what we're doing, I brought some raisins, some Raisinets, is that we're essentially taking Ecclesiastes, the raisin, and we're putting this Jesus chocolate coating on it. It's really the same stuff. We just put a little something extra on it. And to be clear, I like Raisinets. They're good. But here's the thing. Jesus is trying to show us something different. Okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with Raisinets. I'm not even necessarily a huge fan of Kit Kat, but he wants to show us something that is different and bigger. Because I think as Christians, one of the problems we're having is that we sometimes come to the same conclusion that Tara, Bear, terror bear, and Solomon came to. We go home and say, I hate life. And we wouldn't dare say that at church or whatever, because this is the place where we're going to put the front on, that things are good. This is like our Instagram face. You guys, I don't know if we still do it, but Sunday best, you put on your Sunday best clothes, your best Baby Yoda shirt, and you go in and smile for the cameras. But the problem is that we are experiencing this life that is really Ecclesiastes that we put a little bit of Jesus in. And what Jesus is actually calling us to is something different. Jesus wants different. And he has something different for us. Now let's take a look at some of his goofy ideas, especially compared to Solomon, who was king, and he had the music, and he's bossing people around, and the sex, and the new kitchens, and all that stuff. Okay, listen to what he says. Jesus abandons the palace for the stable. So when Jesus is born, he's not born in a palace. He's born way outside of town in something, whatever. Shepherds show up, bunch of degenerates. That's it, right? He also comes out with this idea that the last is going to be first. Well, I was already last. So what are you saying? I'm not first. The leader takes the lowest spot and washes people's feet. What? Then, this is what's crazy too to me, is that we see him doing all this service stuff, and then in another part, we actually see him chastising somebody who's serving. So it's not even the serving that's the answer. In the Mary Martha thing, he's like, hey, she's chosen the better thing to come over and listen. Sit down. He serves food to the guy that's going to betray him. Friends, that's different. So, where does that leave us, Obadiah? Does that mean I can't have an ATV? No, that's not what it means, okay? I think one of the keys here, it lies in what Pastor Mindy said last week. She said, I don't always won't, but when I do, there it is. No, there it is, okay. That man, it was on her shirt. That's the joke, okay? Okay, that's the joke. That man is not your rock. I am. I made God my rock and Justin my husband. Mindy was talking about the fact that she was leaning on Justin like he was God. And so she couldn't even enjoy Justin as her husband because Justin can't live up to that. None of us can. And what we are doing is that we are like Solomon. We are taking our raisins, since we're Christians, we're putting a little chocolate on them, and we are looking to the things in our life to get us to that point of happiness. We think that the big TV, Dolby Vision, that's 12-bit color, okay? It's amazing. Anybody else? That's my thing. An ATV, a vacation, a husband, whatever it is, we think that's where we're going to find ultimate fulfillment. And here's the problem, is that most of us as Christians, we're basically just doing old school. We're not actually doing the different that Jesus talked to us about. And in the absence of different, we're hating our life. So let's take a look at Obadiah's theory of life. Maybe we could call it 2.0. If I have Jesus, I'll be able to learn from him and do what he says and find full life. See, if Jesus came to give us life and life to the full, that's going to be life on his terms. It's not going to be life on Solomon's terms, right? I need to hear this because I'm trying to figure out what the heck to go do next, okay? And there is such a temptation for all of us, but for me, I can tell you the truth, to try to figure out what's it going to take to get that thing that I think I need. And believe me, I think I could probably run out and do it, mostly. Maybe not get all the way, but half the way, whatever it is, right? But it's another spot in my life where it's a pivot. It's a moment of hey, I got to make a choice here. I have either got to decide that I'm going to chase life and chase Jesus and get life on his terms, or I'm going to be like Solomon, without the means, And I'm going to spend 50 years chasing something that I'm going to get mad at the end. I'll be mad at me. I'll be mad at the thing. And hilariously enough, we'll get mad at God because the thing that he said wouldn't satisfy us isn't satisfying us. Darn you, God. You're the worst, right? So here's what I want to do. We're going to pray. Some of you guys know Jesus, but you're hearing that and you're like, oh, Obadiah, me too, bro. Me too. I'm raising that for days. And I don't want you to feel bad about it. Do you know that there are days when I'm like sitting in my recliner with a box of Raisinets, and it's like Jesus just walks up like, Kit Kat, bro, come on. What are you doing? And it's like, oh, crap, right, Kit Kat. And I get up, and I got to do things his way. It's not about feeling super bad and thinking that God wants to condemn you. He actively is rooting for you. Jesus is rooting for you to have the best life. He came that you might have life and have it to the full. It means a lot to him to get the chance to teach you and show you a better way. So if you know him, but you need to stop munching on the Raisinets and reach for the Kit Kat, let's bow our heads and pray together, okay? And if you're saying, yeah, Obadiah, that's me, I need that. If you want to raise your hand, I'll pray for you specifically. And just in your heart, talk to God and say, you know what, Jesus, that's me. I'm just trying to put your coding on my stuff. And I need to set down my stuff and take your stuff instead. And I'm sorry that I've been doing it that way. And I want to make a change right now. And Jesus, please be faithful. And every time I keep reaching for the Raisinets, remind me to reach for your stuff instead of my stuff. Teach me how to live and do things your way. Now, with our heads still bowed, if you don't know Jesus and you would like to, you're looking for different. You're like, yes, finally, different. Then we're all going to pray this out loud together, even if you know him, because I don't want anybody to feel awkward. But you can slip up your hand if you'd like, and you can say this: Heavenly Father, thank you for loving me first, for loving me enough to send your only son to die for me. Jesus, I admit I'm a sinner and I need you. Be the Lord of my life. Be my Savior. Make me brand new and fill me with your Holy Spirit.